and instead submit the recalibration budget 2016 to Parliament. And why? Next week, two things are going to happen in Malaysia in terms of government calendar, like the big calendar. One is we're going to debate the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement on the 26th and 27th. That's the Dewan Negara. And the 28th will be, Dewan Rakyat, and 28th will be Dewan Negara. But on the 28th, the Prime Minister is also going to announce what he calls the recalibrated budget 2016, which is a revised 2016 budget. Okay. Now, I think what we need to do is to prioritize. The government needs to prioritize, and instead of a debate on the TPPA, we should actually debate the revised budget, because that is more important than the debate 2000 on the TPPA. The budget is more important. Now, why do I say the budget is more important? Because I'm actually quite fearful. That a couple of weeks ago, a few days ago, the Ministry of Health actually announced that their budget has been cut by 250 to 300 million. Now, this is a big cut. It's a huge cut, which means that we will have less access to less medicine, medical services in the government department. Now, you would think that actually the government should put more money onto medicine, but that's not the case. What is happening is that welfare will get cut, education will get cut, and healthcare will get cut. This is something we already saw in budget 2016 that was passed last year. But more cuts are going to happen now, though. See, for example, healthcare already got slashed. Now you have 3 million more being slashed from the budget from 2016 for the budget that was passed. So you have budget cuts for education, for welfare, and so on. And welfare, if you cut, people are going to collapse. People will it almost becomes suicidal, though, because people are today having major problems with cost of living and so on and so forth. So I think what we need to do is to Parliament should meet, debate this revised budget, and impress upon the government at the budget that what needs to be cut is the budget of the Prime Minister's office, though, which is really huge. The Prime Minister's budget or the PMO's office budget is 20.3 billion. That needs to be chopped. That needs to be chopped because it's bloated and it's just too big. And of course, most of this $20.3 billion is for pork barrel, though, to give money to give away for cronies and so on and so forth. And therefore, I think money should be well spent for people, but that is why the Parliament has to be called in order to debate this, though. Now, having said that, the second reason why they should defer it is because right now the US and Canada will not go or might not go for the February 4th signature of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. Now, February 4th is an important date, which means that once you go to the February 4th meeting in New Zealand, that's the plan. That means after you sign it, then you begin the process of ratification. That means you begin to change the 28 or 29 laws that the minister has been talking about, the labor laws, changes on intellectual property rights, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the priority is budget, priority is the Malaysian population, the citizens of the country, and what the government's plan is in terms of what they want to do with this revised budget and so on and so forth. That is our priority, and this we can wait for another time. So if the US says they want to discuss this end of this year, then we have enough time to discuss this. And a trade agreement such as huge as this needs a longer time. And at this time in Malaysia, there isn't enough discussion. Concrete, thought out, detailed discussion about the agreement. But it's more, motherhood statements. Don't worry, everything is fine. It is status quo, though, and that is not helpful in the way forward. Right. So what I'm saying is, the Prime Minister's office. There should be a rethink on the priority of the government. And the last point I want to make here is why it should be pushed for deferred, is because you need parliamentarians to understand this agreement, though. Okay. Now, the the Minister of Trade held a one-day session for parliamentarians last Tuesday. We welcome it, and the idea was actually given at the caucus meeting that parliamentarians should be briefed about this thing, though. Now, it is one thing to brief parliamentarians, and it's another for parliamentarians to understand what's in the agreement, though. So the devil is in the detail. If you go for the briefing, you think, very good. But after having read the document, you realize, oh my God, maybe there are issues here that I need to figure out, though. So you have to give parliamentarians some time to figure this out, though. But of course, in Malaysia, we don't have that culture. Parliament doesn't have that culture. Bills are given 2 days. The National Security Council bill was given 2 days before the agreement was discussed, before the bill was discussed in Parliament. But this should not be the way, because this implications is very serious. So therefore, for example, in the case of, there are 6,000 pages, as I said, and each of the chapters are interlinked. Each of the chapters are interlinked.